Hey everyone, this is Tom Salemi of DeviceTalks. I'm here once again at 160 Studios with my friend Joe Mullings. Thanks for having me down here, Joe.
Hey, Tom, good to be part.
We're here to talk about our upcoming DeviceTalks Boston meeting, and I'm thrilled beyond belief to have as our opening keynote conversation. I'm going to be talking with Ivan Tornos, the CEO of Zimmer Biomet, and he's gracious enough to join us here today in the studio. Ivan, thank you for taking some time this morning to give us an update on where Zimmer Biomet's at.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Great. So you've had a lot of news lately, and we'll cover a few areas that we'll be covering more extensively at DeviceTalks Boston. But I've seen a lot of news in terms of your portfolio. You've gotten some critical, I think, FDA approvals. You've got the acquisition you just announced of Paragon 28 a couple of weeks ago. So give us an update, if you would, please, of your portfolio, where it stands and where is it headed?
Yeah, thank you. It's a different company. It's a totally different company. I joined Zimmer Biomet in late 2018. At the time, we're purely an orthopedic company doing mostly hips and knees. Didn't have much of what we call a set portfolio, sports, extremities, trauma, and other categories in non-reconstructive areas. We didn't have any technology. As we enter 2025, we have a diversified portfolio. We're going to be launching 50 new products in the next 36 months.
Wow.
We have leading capabilities in predictive analytics, obviously robotics. We recently acquired a company that we love. It's called OrthoGrid, which is the fastest, most elegant navigation that I've seen in hip reconstruction. In what we call SET, we have a sports medicine business platform that is growing 22%. To your point, Paragon 28 is going to enable Zimmer Biomet to meaningfully enter foot and ankle. We're launching 3 robotic applications in the next 18 months. I can ramble for the next hour, but the punchline is this is not the same Zimmer Biomet that I joined 6 years ago.
Ivan, with this portfolio expansion, if somebody's watching from the sidelines carefully, you're broadening your engagement with the customer. And historically, the customer, in most of the ortho companies that are still out there today, it's been the surgeon. But it seems like you're directing your efforts and your portfolio expansion in other areas. Can you discuss that?
Yeah, Joe. So Zimmer Biomet in business since 1927, historically, has been a company focused in the operation and addressing the needs of one customer, the physician. Today, Zimmer Biomet is thinking the entire episode of care, what happens before surgery, what happens obviously during the surgery, what happens after the surgery, across the entire ecosystem of customers. That's the patient, that's the physician, that's the provider, the hospital, and that is the payer. And the way that we think about Zimmer Biomet is about the meaningful problems that we can solve for that ecosystem of customers, patients, physicians, providers, and payers. And we focus on 4 key problems today. Number 1 is awareness. And that's the number 1 reason why my buddy Arnold Schwarzenegger is now our Chief Movement Officer. Arthritis, osteoarthritis, is a disease that impacts 600 million people on Earth every year. And less than 5% of those patients actually do something about it. So you can do the math here quickly. That means that you got 570 million people living in pain that should be doing something about it. That doesn't mean that 570 million people are going to get a knee replacement, hip replacement, but a large chunk of those patients should be doing something. So problem number 1 is awareness. And we're going to address that through direct-to-patient, direct-to-consumer, and other means. The second problem we're trying to solve as a company is infection, which happens more often than it needs to happen, and it can be deadly. If you go get your hip replacement and you get an infection, the probability of you dying is actually higher than a prostate cancer, a melanoma, or a breast cancer.
Wow.
And there are different ways to solve that problem. Things that you can do before surgery, things you can do during the surgery. The third problem is outcomes, and that is both clinical and economic outcomes. Procedures are getting costlier. We got to do something differently in that regard. And satisfaction rates are not where they need to be. 1 of every 5 patients that goes through a knee procedure will report dissatisfaction with the knee procedure. And then the fourth and final problem we're trying to solve as a company is efficiency. We believe you don't need to be in the episode of treatment 2 to 3 years, like is the case today. We believe that you may not need to go to a hospital. You can go to an ASC for a large amount of these patients. We don't like the fact that you need to be in surgery for an hour plus. We think that you can actually do those knee procedures in a lesser amount of time without compromising outcomes or safety. We don't believe they need to go to a physical therapy rehab center to take care of the rehab after the surgery. So again, we're going to address those four problems: awareness, infection, efficiency, and outcomes. And to do this well, you have to start thinking early on: who is the patient? What is the situation of that specific patient? How do we personalize the surgery? How is that patient going to get treated with what technology in the operating room? That ultimately determines the outcome and the type of physical therapy you're going to have after that. So it's a more holistic scenario that thinks the before, during, and after, the patient, the physician, the provider, and payer, and how we merge best-in-class technology with the leading products out there.
So Ivan, when we think about classic ortho companies, they tend to be metal and plastic, and that's the technology portfolio. And you've been bold. Zimmer's been bold since you've been at the helm, and you've expanded this out to the digital domain, up and above robotics as well. How do you think about breaking that category into this market that has not been a digital forward market before, outside perhaps robot?
Yeah, it's been a Herculean task, and I'm really proud of the work that we're doing, but I'll tell you, it's early innings. We got to do so much more. First of all, to change the mindset of orthopedic surgeons is complicated, right? These are individuals that have been accustomed to using certain products, limited technology, getting trained on doing surgeries the way that surgeries have been done the last 60, 65 years with little innovation. We believe we can do things differently, and we are doing things differently. We believe that what happens before the surgery is just as important, if not more important, than what happens during the surgery. We believe that bringing technology that reduces operating time without compromising outcomes is going to change the standard of care. And we believe that getting the patient engaged in a technological journey is gonna drive better outcomes. To that extent, we have best-in-class partnerships today with Apple around informatics, how the patient's mobility before the surgery guides what the surgery is going to look like. We collect data in the surgery that enables a protocol for physical therapy after the surgery. So it's a totally different type of journey. And again, I think it's early innings. I'm really proud of the fact that we're not alone in this journey. Other great companies, peers of ours, are doing the same thing. And that's an all boats rise type of a scenario. We are going to transform how orthopedic surgeries are done. And I do envision at one point that metal and plastic, as you call it, potentially won't be the leading discussion when you think about a surgery. The how you do the surgery will be more important than the what do you implant in that surgery. And that's part of the technological revolution that we're seeing here.
Can we talk a bit about where the surgery is being done? As we're recording this, we're just before we pushed record, talked about some turmoil in the healthcare provider space, some layoffs we're beginning to see now. Obviously, the ASCs have been rising in importance both for patients, but also for medtech companies. How are you adapting your approach to healthcare providers? What kind of emphasis are you giving to ASCs that maybe you weren't giving before?
Sure. ASCs are here to stay, and the migration of cases to an ASC is just going to blow up. We continue to engage in market research to understand what blowing up means, and the numbers are staggering. We believe today, as we enter 2025, that roughly 40 to 60% of all the cases, orthopedic cases that are being done in an inpatient, HOPD, hospital outpatient, are going to move to an ASC. And it's not lost on me, that's a wide range, 40 to 60%, right? I mean, that's a huge margin. That tells you that most people don't even know. But that's a huge percentage. Speaking of percentages, in 2019, 2% of the sales of Zimmer Biomet, we do about $8 billion per year, were happening in an ASC. Today, that number in the US is closer to 20%. So wow. Roughly $4.5 billion in knees and hips in the US, and 20% of those procedures are done in an ASC. It really is the one place where everybody wants to have the surgery happen. If you're a patient, you want to do your case away from sicker patients, right? Go on a Saturday morning, get your knee done, be home the same night. If you're a provider or a payer, actually you save money bringing those cases to an ASC. And you're a physician, is the same element, right? You do deliver a faster surgery, economically it makes sense for you. It's an overall better experience. So the ASC is truly that juxtaposition that makes sense for all key customers. We're going to continue to invest in ASCs. We think about ASCs from an innovation standpoint around how do we increase safety, how do we drive efficiency, how do we deliver the best outcomes. We have innovation that is purely designed for ASCs. We're always thinking site of care now. Will this product make economic and clinical sense in an ASC? What are different designs that make more sense in an ASC versus an inpatient outpatient? So it's changed everything. It's changed how we commercialize products, how we innovate, how we think about the customer, how we think about technology, and it's here to stay.
Ivan, it's always admirable and inspirational following you and your journeys around the globe as a leader of Zimmer, the leader in the ortho space. Where do you get the energy, my friend? I mean, I've redlined it for 15, 20 years, and I'm trying to keep up with you. Where are you getting this energy from?
I love the question. It's purpose. Some people talk about purpose. Some of us live the purpose. I lost my father when I was 5 to disease. He was 45, I was 5. My uncle became my pseudo father. He died at the age of 45 as well. My brother died in my arms, July 4th, 2010, at the age of 44. He didn't even make it to 45. It would have been 45 years later. It is one thing that drives me is tackling disease, making life better for the millions of patients that deserve a better life. So it truly is purpose. That's what drives my energy. That's what inspires me. I made the money that I had to make in my life many, many years ago when I sold a company. What drives me today is to help others. And waking up in the morning and seeing those numbers that I mentioned earlier, that is 570 million people living in pain, that's enough for me to grab a couple of Diet Cokes, get on a plane, and go somewhere else. Beyond that, hey, it's leading by example. I'm never going to hold people accountable to do things that I'm not willing to do. And I'm never going to ask people to be in front of customers if I'm not willing to be in front of customers. So combination of purpose and leadership by example is what drives me every day, Joe. And I know you do the same thing. That's what we love partnering with you.
Love it, and what a great way to sort of bring this to an end.
Absolutely. As I stated on LinkedIn, you put yourself out there for the world to see, and I'm grateful for the honesty and for seeing how you go through life day to day, and the reasons you just gave are reasons enough. And I look forward to unpacking a bit more and learning more about you and sharing your story with our attendees at DeviceTalks Boston on April 30th and May 1st. Thank you so much for helping us start off right.
Great to be here. I love what the both of you, Tom, Joe, are doing. You guys are revolutionizing a word that I cannot pronounce, medtech, and you guys are making medtech a much better world. So keep doing what you're doing, keep winning. Thank you.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.